What is going on, fellow traders? In this video, I'll be going over the integration between Interactive Brokers and TradingView. What that means is trading your IBKR account directly on the TradingView platform. TradingView is a web-based charting software that's been around for many, many years. They're very popular in the retail trading industry, and they developed an integration to Interactive Brokers, allowing IBKR customers to trade their IBKR account directly on TradingView. This integration was done more than 3 years ago at this point. I made a video 1 year and 8 months ago from the time that I'm recording this. What are my thoughts on this integration today? Have they made improvements? Have they fixed it? How's it going? What are the new features that are available? We're gonna cover all that in this video. Just please, full disclosure, disclaimer, it's not gonna be a positive review, unfortunately, but stay tuned for that, okay? Because there are some good things, but there's a number of things that I think need a considerable amount of improvement. And I'm not happy with the state of this functionality right now. If you would ask me, if you just want the short answer, I would just stick to trading your Interactive Brokers account using the software that they've offered for many years. Number one, which is Trader Workstation. Number two, which is the client portal. And number three, which is the mobile app, which is also pretty good. And if you guys need assistance for using those softwares, click down below because I have a service that helps users improve their trading layouts and learn more about how to use those specific softwares. So let's talk about it right now. So what's new about this is that Forex trading is now supported on TradingView with Interactive Brokers. Let's say you're on the chart on TradingView, you go to the bottom under Trading panel, which should give you the list of available brokers. And the first one you typically see is TradingView paper trading, and I'll talk a bit about that in a moment here. And then you'll see a few futures brokers and cryptocurrency exchanges as well. But to get Interactive Brokers now, you have to actually click all brokers, which I found a little weird, because what that means is that TradingView is not ranking IBKR in the list as high as some of these other brokers. I don't know. So you click all brokers, and then you scroll down even more, like 7 lines down, and you can see some of these brokers that have been around only a few years are ranked higher than IBKR, which personally I find it just appalling. So you find Interactive Brokers, you click there, and then it tells you that the data is going to be provided from your Interactive Brokers account here. So if you subscribe to data in your IBKR account, you're going to get it on TradingView, which is handy and good. So you click connect. You can either log into your live account or your paper trading account. I'm going to log into my paper trading account using my paper trading username. And if you don't know where to find the paper trading username, you have to log into your Interactive Brokers live account on IBKR client portal. That means the web browser version. You log in there, then you go to the top right hand corner where you get the little icon of the person. You click there, and then you select account settings or settings. And then once you're in the account settings window, then you have to find paper trading account. You click there, and that's where you will see your paper trading account username. And if you do not have one, you can create one. Okay, so I'll click simulated login, and then you'll get the agreement or authorization message, which they're showing me even though I've already done it, which I found annoying. So I'll sign my name here at the bottom, and then I'll click I agree. Okay, so I'm officially logged into my IBKR paper trading account here on TradingView. So let's begin to do some trading. So a few of the improvements that I've seen is that there's support for more products and more markets. So the symbols for trading currency, like the main Forex pairs like Euro against the dollar, US dollar against the Canadian, and others that I don't even know exist, they're available to now trade on TradingView. And the way you find them is like this. So on the watch list on TradingView, you can go to the top right hand corner to select watch list to open this, and then you click add symbol. Now, in this list, you can actually filter it out by Interactive Brokers symbols. So in the add symbols list, you see how it's filtering by Interactive Brokers? Now, sometimes you may have to actually click here and then tell it that you want to filter out by Interactive Brokers symbols. But in this case, it's already here and I can't really disable it. I guess if I click there, it disables it and it shows me other things. But what's interesting about TradingView now is that they have options support, although options are not supported with Interactive Brokers yet. Hopefully they'll support them one day, but I personally believe they have a lot of other issues to work out before they support that. And having it been 3 years since they started supporting this broker, I do not even know if they're going to get to it. So I'll click here to make sure I'm filtering out by Interactive Broker symbols. Then I'll click Forex, and you can see these are all the IBKR symbols for trading Forex. You can see on the right hand side it says IBKR. So once you have these symbols, you can basically bring them onto your chart or add them directly to your watch list, kind of like I did right there. So you click there on the symbol and it adds it to your watch list. So why don't we add US dollar against the Swiss franc? Also, Interactive Brokers has cryptocurrency symbols which trade using another exchange that they're partnered with. But note that this is only available for US customers or any other country that they allow it in. They don't allow it in Canada. That's all I know. Okay. Now, if you click stocks, when you place an order for trading on a stock symbol in TradingView, it's going to automatically send the order to your broker that you're connected to, in this case, IBKR. So the symbols are not special for Interactive Brokers, but the symbols for Forex are. So you have to make sure that you have this selected, because if you don't, you'll see on the right, you see symbols for FXCM, OANDA, etc. So make sure on the right-hand side here, it says IBKR, because if it does not say IBKR, you're not going to be trading the IBKR currency exchange, because it's essentially their own exchange that you're trading on. Now, one of the main things that you should know about when you connect your Interactive Brokers account to TradingView or any third-party software is that for every IBKR username you have, you're only permitted to connect one time. You can only have one active connection at any given time. So if you log into IBKR on TradingView, it will disconnect your session on Trader Workstation or on the client portal or on the mobile app. You can only have one connection at a time. The reason why that's a problem is because the software that you're connecting to, it should be able to fully support the functionality that the broker offers. Different functionalities, like Interactive Brokers has something called a virtual Forex position, which we'll talk about here in a moment. So in my opinion, while they do have a connection to Interactive Brokers here and it seems to be functioning okay, they're not fully supporting the functionality of the broker in any way that I think is close to what they should be. Now, everything I'm saying here applies directly to the implementation that TradingView has made and is maintaining to Interactive Brokers. It does not apply to any other broker that you're trading with on TradingView. I want to be extremely clear about that, because I've done videos. You can check out a video here that I did about TradingView bracket orders, and in that video I was using a CQG powered broker, and on CQG powered brokers on TradingView like AMP Futures, Optimus Futures, Iron Beam, and some others, they have a feature called brackets management. What that feature does is it automatically modifies the order quantity of your stop loss and targets whenever your position quantity is changed. And I tend to wonder why they don't have that feature here. So let's do a bit of trading here just to test things out. So I'm going to click over here on the right side. And actually, in TradingView, to bring up the order panel, you have to do Shift-T. So Shift plus T. Now, one thing that I find weird about TradingView's implementation here is that every time you bring up the order panel, it brings up a default order on the chart, as if it expects that you want to put an order here right at the last traded price. And I don't know about you, but I don't. So I don't know what the point of this order here is, because all it takes is one buy button and that order has been submitted, and now you just bought the market when you didn't want to buy it. Obviously, there's order confirmations that you have to go through, but still, you don't have to bring up the trading panel to submit a new order, but you bring it up using Shift-T. Now, you can submit a new order using this plus on the right-hand side of the chart near the price scale. You click there, and then here you get a number of options for submitting an order. So let's say I do a buy limit order right here. So I'll be submitting a bid. So there's my buy limit order. Now, one thing that's cool about TradingView is that you can set up take profit and stop losses before your parent order is filled. I'll show that in the second example. So let's say I go ahead and I click buy over here. Okay, so there's our buy order. It's been transmitted, right? So I can modify this by clicking and dragging on the order. Let's say I want to modify its price. But in order to transmit the modification, I have to select modify order here in the order ticket. Now, sometimes I found this was a little slow. Today it seems a bit faster. I don't know why. Maybe they fixed it. What I found an issue with TradingView is that you don't always get the order confirmation window popping up before you submit a new order. What I'm going to do is cancel my order here by pressing the X to start. And I'm going to right click the chart and go to settings for TradingView, and then I'll go to trading settings. And you can see the second item here is instant order placement. And what this would do essentially is bypass all the order confirmations. As you can see, I have it disabled. So what I'm going to try and do is put in a really big order, or let's say 100 million, just because we're really high rolling today. And I'll press buy, and then let's see what it says. So you can see order size is not within the limits. We do not get any information about how much this order here is impacting our margin for our account. We can see that we're in a demo account. The net liquidation value, or the value of the account, is 371,000 Canadian, I believe. And I tried to submit an order for 100 million, and I click buy, and it just says order size is not within the limits. Why don't I just do 10 million then? If I do 10 million, it still says order size is not within the limits. Okay, fine. Where do we set the limits? I didn't see an option to set the limits. If I go over here to the Interactive Brokers account and I go to trading settings, there's no settings here controlling order limits at all. What if you're a big leverage Forex trader or you want to do some testing here? And 10 million is not a lot for Forex, by the way. 100K position is $1 a tick. I mean, you're a bit of a big trader if you're trading this currency pair for $100 a tick. You know, if you have, say, you know, $1 million, $2 million account and you're a Forex trader, you could trade a $10 million position on this easy. So 10 million is not permitted. What about 1 million? So 1 million is permitted, and that's how I finally got the order confirmation window to come up. It didn't come up when I submitted a small order of 100K, but it came up when I submitted $1 million, and it says that my estimated order value exceeds the value limit, and that's it. Now, really the bug here is this. I'll show you exactly what the bug is. I create a new order here. If I press buy on the chart, it doesn't bring up the order confirmation window on the right side showing the margin impact of the order. It just gives you the confirmation window there, and that's it. Let's cancel it and do the same. If I bring up the buy order here and then I press buy on the order panel, then you see we get the order confirmation showing up here, showing the estimated commission on the trade, which is probably incorrect, and also the margin impact that this order has on our account, which is very important because I want to know how much this order is going to be impacting the capital requirement or maintenance margin of my account, which is not showing when I press buy on the chart, which annoys me. Now let's talk about setting stop losses and targets to positions. So the first way and easiest way to do this, I would say, is by adding them before you send your primary order. So you can do that as I just showed here. So what I'll do is I'll create a new buy order, and then before I transmit it, I can click and drag on the TP and SL items here. And one feature I like in TradingView is that if you drag the stop loss to where it's not supposed to go, it gives you a message like that, and it says it's not going to let you. It's going to say stop loss order must be below entry price. That's a good shorthand. I actually like that feature from TradingView. So I'll bring this to where it's supposed to go, and I'll bring this to where it's supposed to go. So now we have a target and a stop, and then I can go ahead and buy. And here's our order confirmation. Because I pressed buy in the order panel, I got the order confirmation, and I'll click send order. We get a following confirmation here regarding the attached orders. I'll just say okay. Just note that the take profit and the stop loss are not yet transmitted. If you go to the bottom and you look at orders, what you're going to see is that the primary order is working, the buy order, and it also says that the take profit and stop loss are working, but actually they're not working. They're pending. They're waiting for the parent order to fill before these get transmitted. So that right here, the fact that it says working, is misleading for newer investors. So what I'll do now is I'll bring up the buy order. In case you're wondering, how do you fill a buy order fast? Well, there's two ways of doing it. You can use a market order, or you can set up a limit order like this and then click and drag the limit order right to where the last price is, or higher than the last price if it's a buy, and lower than the last price if it's a sell. So I'll drag it up like this. Then we have to click here to modify the order. And now we filled that order, so we're in a $1 million position here. Okay, I want to talk a bit about brackets management and why I believe this implementation is not suited for day traders. It's not suited for fast day trading of any kind. It could be fine if you're more of a swing trader, but at that point, you may as well just do it on the Interactive Brokers mobile app. Brackets management is a feature that I would say is very popular in day trading oriented softwares, and it often has features like if you increase or decrease your position quantity at any time using a separate order, it'll go in and automatically adjust the order quantities of your existing stop loss and existing take profits to match your new position quantity. I find this is an extremely handy feature because it can prevent you from ending up in an erroneous reversed position. For example, let's say you're in a long position like this and you want to take a stop loss if the market's going against you by a certain amount. If your brackets management is off, you can actually reverse your position by accident. Let's say I want to buy more. If the market comes down to this area, not as far as my stop loss, I want to buy a little bit more of this market. So I'm going to come over here, submit another buy order for another 1 million, or maybe I'll do half of it. Maybe I'll do 500,000. How about that? Now I'll submit this buy order, but I'll click send order. What would happen on CQG powered brokers on TradingView is that when you increase or decrease your position size, like I'm gonna do here, you're gonna see the quantities of your stop loss and take profits get automatically adjusted to your new position quantity. Now, why this is a problem here in Interactive Brokers is because that feature doesn't exist. It's not available. They haven't developed it. So what would happen here is that if I stopped looking at the desk for a moment and the market shot down, filled my buy order of 500 here, now my new position quantity is gonna be 1.5 million. My stop loss quantity will not automatically adjust, neither will my target. So what you could do to get around this is you could take this buy limit and you could add another stop loss for 500,000. I drag that down and now I'll click modify order, and then I'll do the same for the take profit. Okay, so now we're doing it with 2 separate orders. I'll tell you why I don't like this method that much. Number one, it's more confusing because now we're working with multiple stop losses and multiple targets at the same time, which could be confusing. And also with IBKR, every time you do a currency transaction, you typically pay a fixed commission fee. So the more orders you do, the more commissions you're gonna pay. So if you're gonna stop loss out of a trade, you probably wanna do it in one order rather than in 2 separate orders, because that's going to, cost you less in commissions. Now, if you're trading big sizes and you're going for big swings in the market, probably won't matter that much. Honestly, the commission is not going to matter. But if you're doing any type of short-term trades, like if you're only going for say 100 ticks or 50 ticks in the market, then stopping out your trade or even taking a profit with 2 separate orders is going to impact your profit loss. So this is one way to get around the fact that they don't have brackets management. So let's say I go in here and I buy that 500. I dragged up my buy order. I'll click modify. Now my new position quantity changed to be 1,500 or 1.5 million. And you can see that because I have a separate stop loss and target for that new order, now my bracket order quantities are matching my existing position. So if you're working with multiple bracket orders, every time you increase your position size, you have a separate set of brackets to protect that new position. Let's say I wanted to scale out some of this position right now. I could either drag down this existing sell order of 500,000. I can drag it down and modify it to sell. Now, if you made a modification and you want to discard the modification, you can just press the back button on the trading panel here. You see the back button there. So for now, what I'm going to do is actually close the position. And if you need to close your position very fast, this is one way of doing it. You can click on the X right on your position. Now, I'm not going to do close position using this method, but what it will do is it will tell you that it's going to cancel all your orders and then submit a new closing order, which will probably be a market order. But what I'll do in this case, why don't we do partial close? Let's tell it how many we want to close. So why don't we close 250,000? I'll do partially close. It's going to say the position USD CAD you're asking to close is a virtual position which treats effects as if it were a contract, like a future. Okay, we need to go over this for a moment here. The virtual Forex position basically enables you to see the profit loss in your account for your Forex position. TradingView is not supporting this feature well enough because they're not allowing the user to turn on and off that feature to either show or not show your virtual FX position. The way it's being treated right now is anytime you have a trade on in a Forex, it's automatically being treated as a virtual FX position, which in my opinion is not correct. So this thing about this is just a misleading message, and then you get the option to don't ask again. In reality, they should be handling that in a different way rather than just saying don't ask again. So I'll click accept for now. And then it says you're attempting to close a position that has open orders. Would you like to cancel open orders and then place a new closing order? Well, if you do accept, it's going to go through. If you do decline, nothing's going to happen. So why don't they go ahead and inform the user that they have to do it if they want to go through with that, rather than doing decline, which is just going to cancel the operation. And in fact, you see it said market order was sent or failed to close position because it didn't go through. So again, just in my opinion, misleading design practices on TradingView's part right there. So I'm going to do again, partial close, 250,000. Partially close, and I'll go through with it this time and I'll do accept. It cancels my orders and it reduced my position size by 250,000. It used a market order, which is fine. I personally think that they should give the user an option about when they close their position, do they want to do it with a limit order or a market order? Because in certain markets like options or stocks, using a limit order will impact trade commission fees quite a lot. if someone goes in and they want to close their position of 2,000 shares of a stock, if they do that with a market order, they're going to pay like double commissions as opposed to if they did it with a limit order. You should go watch my video on market orders here to show the actual commission examples that I gave regarding that, because in the TWS software, they have a feature called post only, which essentially never allows your limit orders to be marketable, which can significantly reduce your trading fees if you use it properly. And they don't have that on TradingView, which means they're not properly supporting the available features of interactive brokers, in my opinion. Okay, so now we have a position here. One thing that's missing is the ability to add back a take profit and a stop loss to the trade. Why can't I add it? Normally on TradingView, when you have a position, even if your bracket orders were canceled, you can add back a take profit and a stop loss to the trade. In this case, I'm not allowed to do that. I press Shift T to open up the order panel, and what it did was it does its normal behavior. It creates a new order. In this case, it creates a sell order, assuming that I want to reduce my position size. Why would I want to reduce my position size? Maybe I want to increase it. They're automatically assuming what the user wants to do. It's too much of a shorthand. Take a sip of coffee. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, I want you guys to absolutely destroy that like button, because I got way more info coming for you guys here in this video. And if you really appreciate the content, check out Interactive Brokers using the link down below. And if you need assistance with using their trading softwares, feel free to contact me at support@verillotrading.com. I have a service you can find in the description for how to use their trader workstation or other softwares like Sierra Chart. Check out the reviews. The testimonials speak for themselves. So we're still in a trade here, and there's no way that I'm seeing that we can add a take profit or stop loss to the position. I'm just not seeing it. You know, if there was an OCO order type, you could submit an OCO, which would essentially be a stop order and then attached to a target order, but there's no way to do that. Like if you go over here and you do limit or stop, there's no way to tell it automatically OCO with another limit or stop. So the only way to do it would be just by using a separate order. But like I said, if you're more of a swing trader, longer term investor, it's not a problem, because you're gonna know how much you're up or down. You're gonna have enough time to react on the trade. So let's say you came over here and you did, okay, I wanna do a stop loss. So I'll put in a stop loss, and I'm gonna put it to my position quantity. So it's, that's the number, okay? So I'll do sell stop. That's a sell stop. The reason why it was sell stop was because when I right clicked, I selected stop right there. And make sure you're doing this on a demo account first before you do this on live trading. Obviously, trading is very risky. So there's our stop loss. And now we can come up over here and do a sell limit to do our profit taker. So I'll do sell that amount for a limit order. In this case, it automatically defaulted to the quantity of the previous order we submitted. But you can always change the quantity there under units. And there's the order type right there. So I'll go ahead and submit that sell limit profit taker. But again, one of the main issues with this is that this is not suited for short-term trading, because if the market goes up here and it fills that order, it's not going to cancel this order now, because these are not even an OCO pair, because the functionality for bracket orders on your position doesn't work at this moment. It just doesn't work. So why don't we do a brand new example then? Because personally, I wouldn't be using this for trading Forex anyways. So I'm gonna just go ahead and close my position. So why don't we just close it? Accept, cancel. It cancels those orders and it closes our trade. But I guarantee you that if I was developing this software, I would have made sure that it was exactly to the same level of quality as all the other brokers they have up there. And if they can't reach that level of quality, then just don't support it at all. This is a half-assed job, in my opinion. It's a half-assed job on TradingView's part. Because I'm short $1 million right now, and I can't put a stop loss in unless I use a separate order, which I do not want to do, because I want my take profit and my stop loss to be OCO. How complex is it to write a feature in TradingView that asks the user, yes or no, do you want to adjust open attached order quantities to new position size when your position size changes? If you use multiple brackets to manage your position, then you're going to turn that feature off. But if you use one bracket like this to manage your position, then you're going to enable that feature, which is going to auto adjust these quantities to match your position size. So in the case that you had a scale out order waiting there and your scale out order was filled, when it gets filled, your stop loss and your other target, their quantities change to match your new position quantity. So there's a 0% probability, or like a 0.01 maybe, in the case that the market moves really fast, that you will end up in a reversed position, which is what you don't want. You don't want to end up in a reverse position unless you want to, but that's a topic for another video. So scaling out doesn't work. It's annoying as hell. Virtual Forex position, no option to turn it on or off. It treats every Forex position as a virtual Forex position. At the very minimum, at least we can submit basic buy limit, buy stop, and market orders and limit orders. But this is far from a good trading solution, in my opinion. In fact, it's probably on par with what cryptocurrency exchanges offer. And don't get me started on cryptocurrency exchanges. I personally think they're a complete disgrace to day trading. The type of bracket management that they have on cryptocurrency exchanges is literally in the dinosaur age, as opposed to what's out there these days. Okay, let's talk about margin impact real quick. So to go on with this rant here about how I believe TradingView is not properly supporting interactive brokers. So like I showed earlier, there's only one way to bring up the order confirmation window. And the order confirmation window is the only thing that shows you the margin impact of that order. There's no other way of knowing. Unless you go in and you put in a really big order and you get the order rejection message and then it tells you, there's no way of seeing that here. All you see is your maintenance margin. In this case, the maintenance margin level is not even correct because I literally don't have any positions in this account right now. There's no positions and I have a maintenance margin of 53,000. So that's not correct. And I don't think it'd be IB because I've done plenty of trading in the Interactive Brokers paper trading account and I've never seen an issue where when you have 0 positions, your maintenance margin's not 0. It makes 0 sense. They don't do that. That's a TradingView problem right there. Guys, use Trader Workstation. Use their new IBKR desktop app. It's probably more reliable than this, okay? If you need help using Trader Workstation, I'm just an email away. So like, look, if you come over here on a stock, right? Let's resubmit it, buy 100. And this time I'll press buy on the order panel. And okay, we actually get an order confirmation window. And it shows you approximately that this order is gonna bring my maintenance margin from 8,811 all the way up to 30,000. So it'll impact it by 21 or 22,000 approximately. Now, let's say I were to transmit this order. What you'll see is that there's no change to the maintenance margin. Of course, if the maintenance margin number here was right, there would still be no change to it. It should add a value here that says maintenance margin including open orders, including the impact that open orders have on your maintenance margin. And this would allow traders to see, how much each of their orders are impacting their maintenance level margin. And of course, since we're talking about margin impact, a key feature would be if you actually had a position in a stock, like let's say you did go here and buy 100 shares, let's see what happens. But if I go now into my positions at the bottom, so I'll bring this up, drag it up, and out of all of the items here, not one says margin impact. They should add a field showing the margin impact of your positions. That way you can know. If TradingView really wanted to develop a proper implementation to interactive brokers, they should take all the things that I'm saying into account and make their own choices as to which ones they want to develop and which ones they don't. Do you want to support the broker or not? You need to show margin impact of the positions. Some traders, they like to short stocks. You might go in and short some small caps when they're pumping up. Now, IBKR is not really known for being a broker that's good for shorting small caps because it's difficult to get hard to borrow shares. And actually the only way to get a locate tool is if you have a portfolio margin account, which is not available in some countries. That being said, on the TWS software, it still shows you how many shares are available to short for a stock. Like on big name stocks, you'll see how many there are. And on mid caps too. If there's no shares, it means you have to locate them. On TradingView, there's nothing here showing shares available to short. And you can probably still go in and short the stock, but you're not gonna see how many shares are available to short. So if there's only like 2,000 shares available to short, your order might get rejected if you submit an order larger than that. And you're not gonna know why it's rejected either. So you're better off just doing everything on Trader Workstation. Okay, let's talk a bit about outside real-time hours for their order panel here and the time in force and the order routing. There's no order routing option for currencies, but there is time in force. And there's also no outside real-time hour option for currencies. I don't know if they're gonna add it later, but we'll talk about stocks. We'll use stocks in this case because on stocks, they actually have this, and also on futures. Let's say you were going in to place an order on a stock. The first thing is the time in force. Time in force day basically means that if your order is not filled by the end of the trading day, typically 4 p.m. Eastern time, the order will be canceled. If you set it to good till cancel, then the order will not be canceled when the market closes, but it will be held and then resubmitted when the market reopens at the same exact price. If you enable outside RTH, it means that when the market closes at 4 p.m., your order is going to actually stay active on the exchange, because now we're outside regular trading hours and you're allowing it to stay active outside of regular trading hours. If you don't really care when your orders get triggered, then you should leave this on to allow your orders to be triggered in pre-market or in overnight trading. And you should also do that for the take profit and the stop loss, which is outside RTH take profit. This is a bit misleading because they're not specifying if this is outside RTH for only the take profit or the take profit and the stop loss. Like, are they forgetting about the stop loss? Not clear enough for the average user. So I understand that it's going to allow the order to trigger outside RTH, but what about the stop loss? Because Interactive Brokers has specific rules for using stop losses outside of RTH. I don't know if these are regulatory requirements by an exchange or just the way they do things. But the reality is, for trading US stocks, regular stop type orders, the stop order type, is not allowed to be triggered outside RTH. It's not. You have to use a stop limit, which has a price cap on what price it can be allowed to trade at. So if you want to make sure your stop loss triggers outside RTH, make sure to use a stop limit for trading stocks. For futures and for Forex, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. You can use regular stop, it's no issue. But it's still misleading because it says here outside RTH, take profit, but not stop loss, okay? Another thing is that I noticed that when you change these options here for a particular symbol, it remembers what you put here and it keeps your previous setting there. When you switch to another symbol, like say Apple, you can see that the settings are not remembered for that symbol. But if I go back to SPY, the settings were remembered here. I think they should just add an option that says default time in force and default outside RTH. Like, they should add broker specific options for the time in force and for these options like outside RTH. Like, because sometimes the user may just want to enable it by default for every symbol they trade. They don't want to have to go in and start checking the box every time they trade a new symbol. It's just an extra step for nothing. Allow them to enable it as a default, something you can consider. My conclusion is that I'm really not impressed with the progress that TradingView has made with their implementation to Interactive Brokers. I didn't really want to make this video. It doesn't make me happy to make a video like this, but it's my duty and my obligation with this YouTube channel to provide you guys transparent and quality content regarding the softwares and platforms that I typically talk about here. For anybody who's just new to using Interactive Brokers, most of you have probably considered trading directly on TradingView because it's convenient. It sounds like it could be a very good, nice implementation, but in its current state, it's nowhere near good. If you want my opinion, it would be to just use their trader workstation. You learn how to use it, learn how to set it up using my remote assistant service. If you really need help one-on-one, I can give it to you. Else, just watch the existing videos on the channel. I can show you how to set it up there too. Overall, the implementation is pretty weak. There's a lot of things they need to improve to get it on par of the level of quality they have with other brokers like AMP Futures or any other CQG powered brokers. I would not trade on this, not even if you gave me $10 million. Maybe I'll think about that. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Check out this playlist right here to watch all my other Interactive Brokers videos to learn how to use their software. And check out this playlist if you want to know about some of the custom indicators I write for Sierra Chart. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.